Isn't it an interesting thing that every time I share somewhere that wealth should be in women's hands, people get so triggered. And at the end of the day, no one asks me, why do I make a statement like that? And obviously, the statement is here to stir up a little bit, but there is obviously background to it. And where I am coming in with that whole idea, which has been revelationary for me, I want to share that with you. But first of all of it started when I realized I want to see change in my lifetime in this world. That is a big statement to do, and that's a big realization to have. I mean, if I say it was a statement, it's also because I felt that vision, I've received that vision, and I realized, and I felt a bit lost in all of that because there are so many angles and so many different things to do, and everything that I've tried to do so far felt like just mundane, just like scratching the tip of the iceberg, but the iceberg is still going to be there. And this has been something that has been in my life, or this desire, for a while. I've studied social work and I realized, like, I'm not really doing anything for society. I'm not really doing anything for the individual person through doing that job. I'm just helping the government kind of keep the costs to the minimum while justifying my job. So that's not really it. I did coaching, I've done some online courses, and they've all been very profound. But still, at the end of the day, I saw many women being really inspired through what they've experienced in the courses and the coaching. And then I do see them taking a lot with them, and I do see massive changes. But still, some parts are not really moving or changing, because at the end of the day, it's about something much bigger than the I. It's about realizing that we are here for the greater good, as cheesy as that sounds. It is true though. So if we are not working of having a vision in our mind and realizing that I'm just a chess player in this chess game that my soul has chosen for me, therefore it's my utmost duty right now to make the best I can to walk towards that which is my vision, towards that which I see my life going. And in all of that, I still realized, like I said, that's not really where I want to go. It's not deep enough. It's not yet really doing something where I feel like, okay, here we're going to change something profound in this world. And then I remembered recently that I've heard that if women hold wealth, as in women have the money, they make the money, they have money in their account, 70% of it actually goes back to the communities, which doesn't mean they're not going to spend. They are going to spend. Yeah, exactly. That's the important thing. They are going to spend the money, and they are going to spend it in community projects. So the biggest thing that we have right now in this world, and what I hear all the time, is like, we don't have enough resources, we don't have enough food, we don't have enough water, we don't have enough money, everything. That's the propaganda that is being played to for us, so that scarcity and fear are running the show. Because if scarcity and fear are running the show, then I am also pushing myself up to my limit and beyond. And I'm also doing the best and following all these rules and this path that society has laid out for me, or the government has laid out for me, because that's the only way I can get somewhere, right? Wrong. So wrong. And I think here it's really important to realize have been played. Instead of being played by yourself, which is a healthy thing, you've been played by governments. You've been played by society to follow their rules, to follow their path, to follow their blueprint of what needs to happen, what you need to do, and where you need to go. So if we have this understanding that if women hold money, 70% of it flows back to communities. They will spend it for schools, education, for local community, local shops and community projects. They will spend it for social structure projects. In general, the money is going into flow, which is actually how more than one person can live with the same amount of money, as weird as it sounds. The same goes if men hold wealth. It's 30% goes back to the community. The rest stays in their own pockets. And latest studies actually talk about 90% for women and 20% for men. So when I started realizing that, or really realizing that, I was like, wow, okay, that's where we can start. If we create this wealth redistribution, as in where the wealth is currently, we redistribute it to other people, especially to people who are going to put it into communities, who are going to spend it in a healthy, resourceful way that is sustainable for nature and for everyone on this planet, or as best as we can. We're not perfect and no one needs to be perfect. Then we can actually create this change. Mind blowing, you know? And so, in that sense, each one of us has a purpose here. Each one of us has something we can follow, has somewhere we can go, and each one of us is needed in this great project that we call our life. And in that sense, I feel like it would help a lot of you out there that are actually listening to this to realize that you are needed, first of all. Second of all, that you have a purpose. And third of all, what is your bigger vision that you're working towards? So not these little mundane insecurities and fears are limiting you. I am speaking about that not because I'm calling you out and I'm like, I'm better than you. I'm speaking about that because I understand how it is. I know how it is because I am also pro at that. I have had many moments where I was lying in bed feeling frozen by this sheer inability of moving things, by these beliefs and these understandings, or things that I thought were beliefs, like I can't do it. No one wants to hear what I have to say. Who am I to do anything in this world? And yeah, at the end of the day, who are we? We are nobodies. And still, I choose to be a nobody and still share, even when I'm scared, still share, even when on those days where I'm like in my luteal phase and I just feel like, ugh, I don't know if I have anything to say. I choose to stand up and say it. I choose to show up. I choose to stand up out of bed, get my ass moving in the right direction, or what I perceive as the right direction. And in that, the right direction for me is for the greater good. The right direction for me is something that I want to see change in this world. I want to see people who coming more back to themselves and like understanding this is me, this is my desires, this is who I am, and everything that people have taught me, society, family, friends, acquaintances, that can just go to the back because I actually feel like I have a different truth within me. I want people to understand that we need this planet and this nature. And while I'm speaking, I'm like looking at this beautiful, beautiful garden with different colors. And like, we need this. We thrive in this. And it's so funny that most of us at one point in our life, we actually get to understand that we all want to live in nature. But then I'm asking you, how much are you doing to actually sustain the nature that is around? There is so many steps towards that. That's also, are you still buying your products from companies that are actually destroying this planet? Are you still buying fast fashion from labels that are just poisoning and putting toxic into our planet? Are you still eating foods that is non-organic, non-sustainable, not coming from good farms? Are you still like, that's a big topic. That's such a big topic. I've spoken about that before. But if we're not taking care of our soils, we can't grow anything anymore. So you can come my way all you want with saying, oh, organic farming, no, that's bullshit. It's more expensive, I can't afford it. I'm like, these organic farming and in my opinion actually biodynamic, these are the ones that are going to change the future. Because if we're just putting pesticides and fertilizer into our grounds and we're destroying our grounds even more, there's no nutrients in it anymore, nothing can grow. We actually need the pesticides and the fertilizer to grow the crops actually have no nutrients and vitamins in it anymore. I eat it. Do you really feel like you're living an abundant life? Do you really feel like you're creating wealth for the future generations that are coming? Because at the end of the day, that is a big thing. Wealth doesn't just equal money. Money is a system that has been created and has put in our fields, as in our societies, as being the biggest thing ever that we need to thrive towards. That without money, we're a nobody. Without having a job that pays a lot, we're a nobody. Best, we have a job that pays a lot, and it doesn't matter if we're happy or not, as long as it pays a lot, because once we're retired after working for 40 years, at least then I will have an epic life. Wrong. Most likely after you've worked for 40 years your ass off, unhappy, stressed, you will have a huge crash. First of all, you have no understanding of what your meaning in this life is. You will completely lose that. Second of all, you most likely have health issues, like physical or mental or whatever else. You have health issues that no one is going to help you with, or doctors are just going to prescribe you really intense medicine and then like go your way. And maybe you're even coming to you're even retiring towards a world where nature is not livable in anymore. Is that really what you're working towards? And that for me is not a wealthy life. That's not abundance. And that's why I'm like, what if we can find it in the mundane, in the daily? Why do we have to live paycheck to paycheck, 9 to 5, and we have these little weekends and the holidays that are counting? What if we could turn it around and actually create a life that feels more nourishing and more flourishing? There's also this thing some people are saying, and I do feel like it holds some truth, that I think like 16 or to maximum 20 hours a week is actually how much we should be working. Everything above that is cutting into our well being. And honestly, I've been working in corporate jobs before. I know how it is. If I had to work 8.5 hours a day, because that's the work hours in Switzerland, I was often just sitting there doing nothing, because you can't. You need a break. You can't work 8.5 hours concentrated. I feel like since I'm becoming self-employed, I actually work more than before, because now I have a passion and have a dedication towards, and there is a meaning behind it. And I'm like, okay, I gotta continue even when I'm tired. I gotta continue even when I'm like, don't really have the motivation that much, because in that sense, lately I've been feeling like I'm also just a player. No, I'm a chess piece in a game that is life. And therefore, my own individuality is not as important as I think or thought it would be. So, to summarize, I know I've opened up a few topics here, but to summarize, here we have, first of all, there is a greater vision that we need to work towards. Second of all, wealth in women's hands. There is studies out there that really show that wealth in women's hands, 70% to 90% goes back to the community. So if we create a wealth redistribution, we can actually change something in this world. Third, what is wealth to you? How do you bring meaning to your life? And what are you really dedicating your life towards? And fourth, what does wealth really mean? And I think that's also not a concluded answer for you here, but it's more like opening this understanding of maybe wealth is something else, and maybe for you personally it will be something else again. And because all of this is so deeply ingrained and so deeply like in the path of where I am going, that's also where my focus is going to go towards. It doesn't mean I'll stop with the plant work. It doesn't mean I stop with the coaching. Everything that I've already been doing, I will continue doing. But definitely my work is mainly catered towards women, because that's where I see that's where the power is needed. My work is catered towards women who want to change something in their life, who are here and ready to change something in this world with whatever their gift is. This can be because you're a great artist, because you're a great musician, because you want to create your own business, because you want to put this offer out there that you just know the world needs it. This can be because you know in your daily job that you're already doing, you want to bring more passion and fire in it. So whatever that is, this can be very individual, but follow along, because there will be many more spaces coming up. And there is also a wealth bundle that is already accessible right now, that you can start whenever you want to. You get a wealth activation in it, which is so insanely powerful. A wealth guide where it also have put a lot of different information and insights into it, like really the tips and tricks of how as a woman can we be smart about our money. And third of all, a wealth meditation, because I'm just a big fan of meditations and I think they're so profound and important. So if you're watching it until here and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so curious, I need to hear about that, reach out to me, because it's such a low ticket offer. You can definitely start right away, and I think you don't even need to think long about it. But ask me and I'll share more information with you. And thank you so much for being here, listening, watching, just being present. And wherever you are in your path, know that you are great and amazing, and you're doing great and amazing, and you got this life, and together we got this life, and we can create something in this world that has never been seen here before. And I am so ready for that. Thank you.